All right, we are back, and we're going to figure out what happens when Caleb interrogates somebody really nicely.
Thanks.
So you succeeded, Caleb. You succeeded with a 7, right? Because David helped you. So against the 6. So this crazy old man, you and him start to have a little bit of a conversation, and David's kind of involved as well, but. I think everybody also has like a reaction to you guys doing that, though, right? So do you like say anything, or do you guys just kind of start talking to Matthew and like?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say I think I said this, but maybe you didn't catch it. I just like do kind of like a dismissive like wave, like it was nothing. Like don't worry about it.
Oh, okay, yeah. So then they start going back to talking, then, yeah.
And I just use my empathy to like find out his most secret aspect.
Okay, so so let's just play it out. I don't want to tell you the aspect until we play it out, because I want to flesh out what's going on here. So you come back, and he just keeps saying, Charlie.
Yeah.
And at first it sounded like a shock, and now it's like a sad.
Yeah. Like it's legitimately changed, or I mistook what it was meant.
No, at first it was like Charlie.
Okay.
And now it's like Charlie.
Got it.
Charlie.
Yeah. So I lean down next to him and I like take his hand. Will he let me do that? I do it very slowly.
I think he takes it back.
Okay. Yeah. So he just like
shies away from you. Yeah.
So I just kind of like squat there, right? I'm like kind of like squatting down next to him. And I just say, Matt, who's Charlie?
And he's like his eyes aren't focused on anything,
mm-hmm.
And then he like focuses them right into your eyes, and he says, "My son."
Oh. Well, I know as a player what's going on now, but okay. So I just say, what happened to your son, Matt?
I killed him.
I just look at David like, oh, okay. Yeah. And I frown and I say, Matthew, who were you before the fall?
Okay, so I think this is where it's been like 11 years, right? So I don't know exactly if you would forget this or not, but I want you to roll a lore anyway.
Sure. This is just to remember something about the old world?
Yes.
Okay. Go 1.
Okay, so I think you fail. So I think David, since you're a part of the conversation too, if you want to make a lore roll, you can.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, so you know what? Since we're gonna be done with the session pretty soon here, I might as well just blow some fate points and see if I can get that higher. Good. Let's see.
Are we ending early tonight?
Oh yeah, you weren't there for that. Yeah, I need to be like off by 10:30, but okay. So we'll probably like end like around 10:15 ish. Is when I want to wrap up the session, and then we'll do the after show. And yeah. Sorry, I
okay.
Yeah.
had a mental note to tell you that when you jumped on, but we were informing you about everything else.
Yeah. about our discussion on philosophy of role-playing games. Very important.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm going to spend a fate point on others are needed to rebuild the world, right? So I wasn't internal. I paid attention to the world around me. Does that work for an aspect to build?
Others are needed to rebuild the world. Is that what
others are needed to rebuild the world? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that works. So spend your fate point.
And I think I'm going to re-roll. Oh, unless you think a 3 is good enough.
No, 3 is good enough. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just do that then.
He says, Matthew Patterson. And Caleb, you immediately remember that Matthew Patterson was a part of a slogan that you remember from the old world.
Okay.
And it was the last name of the vice president.
Oh. Okay.
So that means he's the president? Is that what you're telling me?
He's the vice president of the United States of America 11 years ago.
So I obviously don't believe it at first, right? I'm just like, okay, that's obviously a coincidence. But I prefer it, honestly. Your name was Matthew Patterson. Okay. And I'm like looking at David, like kind of glancing back and forth at David, because I think we both. I mean, since I got it, can we just say that David gets it too, like the implication, because it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Because so we like give each other a look, right? And and then I just say, it's an honor to meet you, Mr. Vice President.
So are you saying that it's like you're humoring him because he's a crazy old man and he's having a lucid moment, but do you think you actually believe that that's what he's saying?
I am doing it because I want to trigger a response to whether or not he believes he is.
Okay,
right? Yeah. I'm not trying to like make fun of him necessarily.
You specifically rolled to reveal an aspect about him, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think this is all part of just the empathy that I'm just digging out his past.
So what do you say?
Well, I just said it's an honor to meet you, Mr. Vice President.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just seeing how I'll respond to it.
I think he starts to go into like a like he's in a like the scene in his mind just changed. Mm-hmm. And he says, I want you to have my speech ready by 9:00. I have a breakfast I need to go to. What day is it?
Yeah, and I think because I have my like stunt large ham, I'm like used to this sort of thing. So I'm good at acting. So I just like fall into the role and I just say, use what he asked, the last thing he asked.
What day is it?
I probably give him some date in 2015 before the apocalypse.
He says, what day of the week?
Monday. Sorry, sir.
Yes, it's okay. And he says,
I'll make sure to schedule all those things for you.
Yes, and he like glances around and he says, is it just the three of us?
For now, yeah, I can call someone in if you need anyone.
He says, no. Why would we? You want to bring in Luke?
Well, Luke has been reliable in the past.
He gives you a glance like, reliable to kill people, but
depends on what you need,
reliable. Sir. I think he says, Jay, you have always been. And he like shakes it off, and he turns to what's that?
I say brilliant.
I think he wasn't feeling the like role play for a second there, and then when you say brilliant, he like snaps back to it, and he's like,
I think I could tell that. Like I losing him, so I'm trying to like provoke reactions.
Yeah. He says, well, you are very devious. I'll give you that.
I try, sir.
And he looks to you, David, and he says, Mark, how are you feeling today?
I look at you like, I don't know. How are you feeling, Mark?
Look at Caleb like, great.
And you've drawn me into this stupid little thing.
Yeah. He just shrugs. Living the dream.
And he says, well, everything should be in order then. Are we ready to go through with our plan?
Of course, sir.
And he says, America needs to pay. America needs to be destroyed for who we are, for what we've done. The blood that is on our hands is filthy. I want no part in it. The president can't see through. He can't see past power. It's all he wants. And he like gives a pointed glance to you, Caleb, and is like, and sometimes that's all I think you want.
And I think I frown and I say, like also part of the act still. And I say, I don't know, sir. Something you said recently has just been, well, I can't help but wonder if what we're doing here, if innocents are going to be caught into the mix, if that's going to be too high a cost to pay.
At the word sir, he frowns. And I think you catch on that he expected you, like you used to be a person who called him sir, and then you changed character and became a different person in his head. And so I think you don't finish that, and you say sir, and he gives you a look of like, you're not sir anymore. You're the brilliant guy. You're the brilliant, power hungry guy.
Yeah. Okay. I catch on to that, and I nod slowly, and I say, listen, something you said to me, it's just been rattling around in my brain and I can't get it out. And I know you're just going to say I told you so, but listen, this is important, what you're doing here. I get that now. And sure, I'm going to get power out of it, but what if the price is too much to pay? What if innocent lives aren't worth revenge or whatever it is you want?
And he looks at you, and he definitely doesn't think you're who you say you are.
I was trying to.
And he said, "No.
Right.
This is okay." He says, "Jay, that's something I would say. That's something that I've been saying." And he like looks down at his hands, and he says, and he screams. And he's like, there's blood. There's blood on my hands. My son. I killed my son. My wife. I killed my wife. And he grabs you, Jay, and he says, kill me, Jay.
I give you a glance, David, and I say, don't you dare. and then I try to just hold him close. Like I just like bear hug him and like try to like at once like restrain him and then also just try to get him to like shut down.
He just keeps, go ahead, David.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna try and like kind of like body check him, like such that I want to like shock him, right? Physically to try and throw his mental track off. And I want to be like, you said somebody betrayed you. Who betrayed you?
I think that's all you get out of him. I think he starts sobbing and just like mumbling like,
I mean, could Dave make a roll to get one last piece of information out of him? Like make a provoke roll?
Go ahead.
Is that provoke, I assume?
I think so.
Yeah. Definitely provoke. Okay. Difficulty 4.
Am I getting any help with this, or?
I can help you. No, wait a second. I have a -2 in provoke. I'm only good at provoke because I fake being in provoke.
Oh wow, you got it. Perfect. So you got 4. Okay. So
that's right. Teamwork makes the dream work.
No, for real. I was not expecting you guys to get this out of Matthew for a long time. So I'm glad that you like caught on right away and had rolls for it. I was like, this is super cool. So yeah, he says, you betrayed me, Monk. You betrayed me. And he looks at you, Caleb, and says, and you too, Jay. We were just supposed to destroy America. And he looks between the two of you and he says, and then we destroyed the whole world.
So, yeah, I guess that's not news to us because, like, Connor came from Germany, right? Like you guys were all overseas and then came back.
Well, this a little bit because I was at least under the impression that it was, because usually the assumption with mutually assured
Right.
nuclear destruction is that we shoot a nuke at somebody and they shoot it back.
Yeah.
Not that we shoot a nuke at everybody.
Yeah.
Including ourselves. So at least for me, out of character, that seems like new information.
Yeah.
I
guess I just meant like the old, like the entire world being destroyed and not just America.
Right. I mean, I guess I don't really know if there's more information to get here, but just in case, I'm going to push it further. And so I get up in his face and I'm like, I was anywhere else any different than America?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like if America deserved to die, so did everybody else.
And he like looks down and he looks back up at you guys and he says, "We all deserve to die, don't we?" And then Caleb, he takes a glance at your hunting rifle.
I instant bear hug, restrain, like.
Yep.
Yeah. I just am like, you got that right, and walk away.
Can I just do that without having to roll or anything? I can just restrain him.
Yeah, you don't. Okay. Yeah, you don't need to try. He's not going to overpower you.
Got it. So what aspect did I learn?
Well, you guys learned two aspects.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
There's an aspect you guys already knew is I can't handle reality.
Mm-hmm. That's just trouble, I assume.
Mm-hmm. And then you learned his high concept.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can. Give me 1 second.
You should just be able to click on it and pop it into the chat. Should be a little button next to it that pops it out. You're writing it in?
I'm writing in one of them. I thought I had already written this in. Sorry. Okay. So his high concept is the prophet that was betrayed.
Cool.
And then the other aspect you learned is vice president of the former USA.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, that's more than we knew. So then I think by the end of that, the conversation is over, and then I just look to you again, David, after he's gone back to his normal catatonic state. And I just as I'm walking past you to go do something else, I'm just like, not useful, huh? And I just
I'm like, well, it sounds like we got what we needed.
I stop because I was walking past it, and I stop and I just look back. And I'm like, no, there's more there. I'm going to try that again. And then I just keep walking away.
So I think what we've gotten here is a picture of a new thing that happens when you guys make camp. If Caleb tries to role play with Matthew.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
And draw him out.
And I think previously Mickey would read to Matthew when she could, and just give him something to do.
Yeah.
And he would listen and nod and that kind of a thing. His attention would be focused on her.
Yeah.
And I think from now on that kind of changes where Mickey doesn't read to him anymore. Now it's Caleb entertains him with live stories, right? Where he's trying to interrogate him at the same time.
Yeah. Awesome. I get to do improv action.
Yep. Okay, that was
role playing
awesome.
Who's role playing?
I know. Honestly, dude, that was so much fun for me. It was so much fun to role play a character who was trying to figure out who to role play in the scene. It was awesome.
Yep. And I don't know if how well you'd put this together, Caleb, but I think later that night, you kind of think back to it and are Matthew, David was Mark, and I was Jay, and you go, John.
Oh, yeah.
I was John.
Yeah. Okay.
And Luke, they didn't want Luke there, but he was a part of it too. And so you were the four prophets. Like,
yeah, and I think we had figured out that it was like those are the names before, but I definitely didn't catch that Jay was John, but yeah, like as a player I didn't. So cool.
Yeah, I caught that he called me what was it, Mark?
Yeah.
But Jay, I was trying to think, and I was also trying to listen, so it didn't come to me.
Yeah.
I assume you got it, Josh.
So,
yeah.
Okay, so we'll end that scene there. Unless anybody else has anything like that they wanted to do or interact with or whatever, I think one of the only other things you guys notice from the crew is Alyssa is seems to be like isolating herself a lot. Like during the night, let's say Jared, right? Because you're just bleeding out, or not bleeding out, but you're sitting around bleeding.
He's just gonna die.
So you're not really like doing anything in particular. So you're just kind of watching people, right? And I think you notice that Alyssa definitely, like, even from her husband, is just kind of like isolating herself, and like just goes and walks off into the woods at one point, like by herself, kind of a thing, and then comes back later, and just seems like really sad. But or not really sad, just like
troubled
or like redded, like she like looks like pale, you know what I mean? So we'll leave that like subplot there, right? And I think the next day, let's look at the hex map. Where are you guys going? I think I remember you guys saying last week you're planning on going to, we're
gonna go to Purple. I think we're gonna go through Salt Lake, through Cheyenne, and then to Salt Lake.
Okay, you brought the players there. Oh, didn't mean to do that. You did that.
That was me.
Yeah, so you guys are gonna go over to Cheyenne first, is what I remember?
I think so.
And then you guys are gonna go over to Salt Lake City and then go up from there?
Yeah.
To the Purple.
Is the assumption that next session will be in Cheyenne?
Yes. Well, my thought was we'd go to Cheyenne right now. I have a little bit of something. So you guys go to Cheyenne, right? And this is weird because like Cheyenne is a big city, right? It's on the map here. It's a big city. It stands out. And I think one of the first things you guys notice when you come up to the city, and I think everybody's like, all right, we're going into a city. We don't know what to expect. Connor gives like a little bit of a speech, right? Like, we don't know what we're getting ourselves into. So let's be careful. Everybody had their eyes open. Let's be armed. Let's watch for everything. And I think you guys come into the city expecting, be a lot of people to take refuge here. And it's really empty. The city is, you notice, there's some dead bodies that have been decaying there for a long time. Or, there are buildings that are collapsed in on themselves, and like nothing's on fire or anything like that, but
just like abandoned.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of stuff happened here. It looks like
just
you look
from
around,
the apocalypse, or like after.
Not from the nukes,
right?
But like a lot of the aftermath took its toll here. Like there's a lot of stories here. You guys can't quite pick out like what without a roll, but like a lot has certainly happened here. This city wasn't just abandoned. It like stuff happened. So if you want to make like a notice roll or an investigate roll.
Welcome to Wyoming, where there was nothing before the apocalypse. And now there's even less of it here.
Yeah, we passed a welcome to Wyoming sign.
It's just the oming part is missing. It just says welcome to Y. Okay. Does anybody have better than +1 in investigate?
I can use lore instead of investigate for tracking things.
I have a +3 to investigate.
Okay, well, Josh,
there
if
you
you
go.
want to make the roll.
Connor helps you with that roll.
You get a +2, it sounds like.
One
Jared,
from
do you investigate?
David and one from
Excellent.
Connor.
Do you have a +1, Jared?
Oh yeah, I can add +1.
For +3, in addition to my +4, rolls for me a 7.
Nice.
All right, so Josh, you start like it's kind of like you're watching a commercial and you mute it and you like lip sync for them, but you're like 100% right.
That's a great analogy.
So you start like pointing stuff out, like, oh, this is where the Battle of 1894 happened, like just stupid stuff like that. But you're like totally right. So you're like, well, looks like there was a turf war here. Looks like they set this building on fire to drive people out, and you can tell there are some dead bodies here that have been eaten and are just carcasses, or like skeletons now. And the people had to like jump out of the building to escape the fire, and like there was war, and like people just killed each other here, and lots of people gathered here. They started building some stuff. You can tell that by over there, but civilization just collapsed here. Lots of people gathered here to try and hold out in the apocalypse. They thought strength in numbers, and they just turned on each other. And so where you guys were expecting to find a greater population here in the city, it turns out that the population became really big. And everybody had a different thought. Everybody had a different mindset. Everybody had their own way. And so everybody just killed each other.
So I can infer from this that there's no appreciable number of survivors if given they left corpses outside of buildings, and like nobody's made an attempt at burying the dead or in any way cleaning. Like this is just abandoned to the bone.
Yes, until you get to a certain part of town. And then you start noticing, oh, there aren't any corpses here. There's definitely some combat that went on here. There's definitely some stuff that went down here, but there aren't any corpses here. And so you start noticing there's like a specific section that is cleaned up. And I think at one point you like pass it. And I think Josh probably pointed out to the driver and to Connor of like, actually, I think there's survivors over here. We might want to go and like talk with them. We can find supplies or whatever.
And at the very least, there's no corpses down that way, so signs of life.
Right. So you guys kind of turned down that way.
Let's remember that whoever's over there survived whatever caused all these corpses, and they probably did a pretty decent number of it themselves.
Does David say that?
Yeah.
Not like we don't have our own corpse makers on board.
Hey, I mean, if you want to throw corpse makers at corpse makers and see how many corpses we make, that's fine with me, but I'm just warning you.
I love David's character. Yeah, okay, so I think Connor kind of just says, I think we need some supplies. And like
We have a whole abandoned city. We can't just scavenge some stuff off the dead.
That's fair. Were there stuff that was there stuff we could scavenge, or has like it been picked clean scavenge wise? Because you described it as abandoned, which would insinuate
you guys
to me.
Can make a roll.
I mean, that was the investigate, right? I assumed.
The investigate was to see the story and what happened here.
Yeah.
Right, but what other role would it be except another investigate?
The role would be to figure out if you can like scavenge like
right. It
stuff,
just seems
right. So
and it's obviously up to
I
you.
could tell you that there aren't resources because of the investigate role, or that there are resources. But I think I would rather let a different role decide if there are resources that you could scavenge.
Sure.
Is that something that Fate would have him roll for then? To make that decision? Like it seems like D&D has that where the GM can make a roll to make a decision on one or two kind of option. I don't know what Fate has for that.
I mean, yeah, Fate doesn't have like a die of fate or whatever, but you could just roll a die of fate if you wanted to.
Well, no. So what I was thinking is like, you guys can roll to see if you.
Oh, you know what it would be?
I guess that's a good point.
I think it's an
this stuff.
Well, real quick, Connor. I think it's an investigate but you're doing creative advantage instead, right? You're trying to create an aspect which is like scavengeable supplies.
Yeah, I like that.
Right, because before it was an overcome to like learn a specific thing of information.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Then
I guess
what would
that's Josh
actually
again.
be the role to
I think it's investigate.
actually scavenge?
Oh, to actually scavenge?
Because you're creating an advantage that assumes there's a different role afterwards, right? Would that be like physique
I
to
mean,
try and scavenge it
my
all?
assumption would be based on the rules. It would just be we get access to the aspect, right, of scavenge supplies, and then we can invoke that later for something, right?
That makes sense. Okay.
That makes sense to you, Connor.
Yeah, that's fine.
So
So
we just
obviously
make the same
Josh could
roll we did
make
last
like
time.
yeah, basically, I think so.
Okay.
I think you're just making the roll again, Josh.
It's just
Alright.
a different type of.
It's a different action, yeah.
Same +3.
I'd assume everybody's helping.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
I think difficulty is probably 4.
Okay.
5.
5. Cool.
Yeah. I imagine there's a lot of usage of all this stuff.
Hey, I rolled an 8.
Nice.
Succeed with style, so 2
Succeed
free
with
invokes.
style.
Okay, so I'm gonna say that this is what you win with the succeed with style. Is you find some stuff that you can scavenge, and it's just like basic parts and stuff like that. So you guys are like restocked, right?
But it's definitely needed, yeah.
It's stuff you needed. And then as you're kind of scavenging, I think you're like in a specific building. And then you guys hear footsteps. And actually, no, I don't think you do hear footsteps.
Yeah,
I think what's that?
You want me to make a notice roll?
No, because I just want to like end it here, and I have a specific thing in mind.
Mm-hmm, no problem.
So I think David, do you feel something land on your back?
Oh, okay.
And a knife goes to your throat, and it's a really small thing that landed on you.
Okay.
It says, "Don't you move a muscle, big guy, gun person." And a couple of like soldiers kind of like come out from like doors or like down the stairs or whatever, and like point guns at you guys. They basically are like, everybody hands in the air. So like, how does everybody react? And this isn't gonna like initiate a combat, but like just how would everybody react?
Well, my immediate reaction when anything larger than like, you know, if I can flick it off with my hand and something grabbed onto my back, I'd probably just roll and try and crush it before it did anything. Like if it felt like a person jumped on me in some way, I just roll and try and like displace them. But I feel like that's the beginning of a combat. So
no, let's say you do that, right? So you like, this person lands on you, and you immediately just like fall to the ground.
Karate flip them like off you, yeah.
Right. And
one arm shoulder,
karate flip like
I mean, it sounds like I'd probably get stabbed if I did that, but that's what I would do.
Well, I mean, they got to jump on you for free, so I think Connor's saying like you could do this for free.
Yep. So I think she says that of like, don't you move a muscle, and you just like toss her off, and it's this little girl with like short dark hair, dark skin, and
it's Lift.
No, it's not Lift.
This isn't Stormlight, people.
So many Stormlight references in session.
Because why not?
Does Lift have dark skin?
I was gonna say,
yeah, she's Reshy, so she's like darker, not like dark skin, but like
Oh, okay.
Polynesian.
Well, this little girl is African American.
Okay.
So yeah, you like toss her down, and her like knife like clatters to the floor, and she looks up at you and goes like that. She goes like bares her teeth at you, like she's ready to fight. And I think all the soldiers kind of like point their guns right and are like, nobody move a muscle.
Okay.
I think probably like the last, unless someone else has a line they want to end on, it'd probably just be me like raising my hands and just basically saying, I think I just say, don't try anything. You're surrounded.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think we'll end with that. Yeah, I think that's good.
Cool.
Okay. All right. Yeah, end the session there. I had like so many things running through my head. That's why I like hesitated there.
No, you're good.
But yeah, that's a good place to end. So we'll be back next week with more Orphans of the American Dream. We're gonna do a little after show. If anybody wants to give Caleb some monies, we will give you this after show. You could listen to it, but if you don't give us monies, then you can't listen to it. And
support
really,
Caleb
really
on
sorry.
Patreon
That's what
for
we're saying.
access to exclusive content and breakdowns that the cast does as we talk about the show after the show.
And
That was a more
including,
professional way of explaining that.
and if you give any amount on patreon.com/CalebOnPowers, you can be inserted as an alternate character into Orphans of the American Dream.
That's right.
Please do so. I've really been enjoying the patrons we've gotten in the game so far. Alyssa and Emily, and specifically Mr. Lang. Just so good.
Yeah, I have like, yeah. Well, let's save it for the after show. So, yeah, we'll see you guys next week.